Hi everybody, and welcome to First Chapter Friday. We are reading Meet Me Halfway today, and this is by Anika Fajardo. And I've never read this book, so I'm interested to see what it's all about. So let's see what the first chapter has to do. So the first chapter is called Maddie. Make sure we can see everything. There we go. All right. Brown eyes flecked with ember peer back at me. Above them are my eyebrows, a little bushier than usual. There's my smallish nose, the one my mom says I inherited from my father. I turn my head, tilt my chin, but the face I'm studying doesn't move. What are you looking at? The girl demands. Nothing, I mumble, embarrassed for getting caught staring at her. But I can't stop. Back home in Minnesota State Fair, there's a fun house with a hall of mirrors, each one distorted to make you taller or fatter, shorter or skinnier. In those mirrors, you can see yourself, only different. Looking at the face across from me, I feel like that I'm in a fun house instead of in 7th grade classroom. The girl is wearing jean shorts and a t-shirt that says "Throw Like a Girl." Her hair is the same brown as mine, although hers is smooth and loose around her shoulders, while I always wear my curls in high ponytail. She's looking everywhere but at me. "Boys and girls," announced the social studies teacher, "the chaos of the first period classroom quiets. We have a new student today." It's not the first day of school for Poppy View Middle School, but it's my first day. I slouch in my seat, wishing I could disappear. "Would you please introduce yourself?" the teacher says, gesturing for me to join her at the front of the room. My stomach tightens. I slink out of my chair and avoid making eye contact. I hate being in the spotlight, so I'm relieved that only a few students seem to care who I am. Most are doodling in their notebooks or checking their phones in their laps. Hi. I shift from one foot to the other. And that's when, one by one, all the kids in my new class, except the girl in the seat across from mine, turn to stare. They switch off their phones, they put down their pencils, they lean toward each other whispering, they nod and point at me. My palms get sweaty, my toes curl in embarrassment. "I'm Maddie," I croak. What did I do wrong? Did they want my whole story? Was I supposed to give my full name? "Gomez," I add a little uncertainly. I'm the only Gomez in my family now. When my mom got remarried over Labor Day weekend, she took Bob's last name, Jasper, dropping Gomez. Like it didn't mean anything. Like there wasn't a whole story behind it. "Welcome, Maddie. Now I want everyone to—" The teacher was interrupted by a boy whose hair sticks up in a spike at the back of his head. "Mrs. Ellingham," he calls out, "why does the new girl look just like Mercedes Miller?" There were more murmurs. Mrs. Ellingham looks at me. She looks at the girl seated across from my desk. "Mercedes and Maddie do look very similar," she agrees. The girl, who must be Mercedes Miller, is studying her mint green fingernails like they're the most interesting thing in the world. Mrs. Ellingham looks at the two of us like we're a puzzle. She nods, her head of gray hair. She's tall and looks even taller in the long, billowy dress she's wearing. "Maybe they're related," she suggested. Related? I've never seen this girl in my life. But there's a strange twitch in the back of my brain. Even as I think this, and although warm California sun is streaming through the classroom windows, I shiver, thrums from my toes to my fingertips. I can't tell if it's one of my panic attacks or something else. Mrs. Ellingham's bright pink lipstick creases as she smiles. "Are you two related?" "No," we say. Even though we speak in unison, our voices are different. Mine is small and just a little squeaky. Hers is bold, forceful, as if the idea of being related to me is the worst thing in the world. "Well," said Mrs. Ellingham, looking from me to Mercedes, "I'm sure you two will end up being great friends." She smiles again. She's the only one smiling. In the meantime, let's get to today's lesson. I scurry back to my seat and resume my spot across from Mercedes. She seems to be pretending that I don't exist, which is a lot like what everybody else has been doing around me lately. My new stepbrothers act like I'm a piece of furniture. Bob follows my mom around like a lovesick puppy, and my mom juggles the three of them while unpacking and reorganizing our stuff at the new house. "We're starting our mythology project today," Mrs. Ellingham says. She writes the word mythology on the whiteboard in swirling letters. The mythology of a creature reveals the culture, history, and beliefs. She underlines mythology with a flourish. Below it, she writes Greek, Roman, Maya, Inca, Egyptian. Studying the stories of ancient civilizations helps us understand our own lives. I think about my new life here in California. I'm pretty sure ancient civilizations aren't going to help me understand any of this. Hey, I hear a hoarse whisper behind me as Mrs. Ellingham continues to talk about myths. Hey, Mercedes and New Girl. I turn around to see the boy with spiky hair leaning back in his chair. He whispers, You guys are probably doppelgangers. Doppel what? I whisper back. Mercedes glares at me and the boy. A doppelganger? You know, someone who looks just like you, like twins, only not. Twins? I examine Mercedes. She has a small brown freckle on her chin, and mine is freckle-free. My teeth gap in the front, hers hug close together. Her skin is a shade darker than mine. My forehead is a little wider. Even so, there's something eerily familiar about this girl. Despite the fact she's carefully avoiding eye contact, it feels like an invisible wire connects us. Hey, the boy hisses again. Did you know it's bad luck to see your doppelganger? My stomach drops like I just ate rocks. I'm not usually superstitious, but I ask, what kind of bad luck? I've already had enough bad luck. The boy checks to see if Mrs. Ellingham is watching, and then scoots his chair closer to me and Mercedes. Some people die after seeing their doppelganger. My hands feel tingly, and my heart thumps. Do you feel okay? He asks me. What did it feel like when you first saw Mercedes, your doppelganger? I say, weird, I guess. I don't say that it doesn't really feel like a bad weird, just weird. Mercedes leans forward and hisses, Shut up! I'm not sure if she's talking to him or me. It's only a coincidence, she said. She adds, I can tell by the squint in her brown eyes that she has decided it's bad weird. It didn't mean anything. Boys and girls, Mrs. Ellington claps her hands. The three of us jump. The boy scurries to his own place as the teacher says, Look at the person sitting across from you. We all look, except for Mercedes. Her eyes avoid mine. Say hello to your project partner, Mrs. Ellingham says, cheerfully. Now Mercedes looks up, and she glares at me. Her cheeks turn bright pink. I feel my own burn. How have I managed to make enemies with this girl I've only just met, and then end up partnered with her on her first project? All on my first day in the new school? It must be my doppelganger bad luck. Both write your names on the assignment and exchange phone numbers. You'll need to do some of this project outside of class. My room will always be open after school, too. A few voices cheer, a few groan. Mercedes is one of the people groaning. Then she sighs a loud sigh that says how much she doesn't want to be my partner. What was your name again? I asked, pencil poised above her paper. Maddie. Does she feel it? Does she feel the bad luck? Maddie Gomez, I tell her. For 1 millisecond after I say my last name for the second time that day, her eyes flick to me and then back to the paper. How do you spell Maddie? She emphasizes the T's, sharp and jagged. Her eyes bore into me as if I came to Poppy View Middle School just to make her life miserable. I never asked to be here. If I were still at my old school, I could be doing group projects with people who actually like me. Maybe even with my best friend, Mai. I try to picture my life back home in St. Paul, Minnesota. Soon the leaves will turn red, lopsided pumpkins drawn by first graders will be taped to the school windows, and the air will smell like the first frost. Mercedes taps her pencil on the paper, waiting. 2 T's, I tell her. M-A-T-T-I-E. It's a... She begins. She pauses, as if searching for the right word. It's a cute name. Think my friend had a dog named Maddie, she adds. A dog? I smile the way I do when my mom tells me to clean my room, but I know I probably won't. Well, it's short for Matilde. And then I spelled very, very slowly, M-A-T-I-L-D-E. Mercedes shoots me a look that could freeze a lake in Minnesota. I shrug. I'm named after the wife of this famous dead poet, Pablo Neruda, I inform her. You've probably never heard of him. It was my father's idea. I'm not sure why I said that. I never talk about my father to anyone. Mercedes traces the M on her own name over and over until it's dark and black. I'm named after a wife, too, the wife of a famous writer. We don't make eye contact, but the wire between us seems to buzz. Interesting. So that is called Meet Me Halfway, and I hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you next week. All right, have a good day. Bye.